As I sat down to do this editing, I just found out that the mic cord on the chest cam went bad. So I'll be doing a voiceover on all the cast to catch stuff. What's going on, folks? Well, this video, we're back in the flats again and chasing some redfish. When I set out, I was determined to try something new on these redfish. Digging around in my bass tackle box, I come up with this rat weight bait. This is a Spro rat, and they make 3 different sizes. This is the medium size one. They make one a little smaller than this, and they make one bigger than this. I think this is a 40, and I think the 30 is a small one and the 50 is a big one. But anyway, that's what we started out with, and looked like it was going to work really good. Caught a nice one on it, and then the second one that jumped on it was a bigger fish, and I don't know what happened. I was running a straight 40-pound braid, and he either got on something or the hook got on the line. I'm not sure, but somehow or another the 40-pound braid got cut and I lost my rat. And I only took the one. I had 2 of these in my tackle box, and the one I was throwing was more natural color than this purple and blue and all that. It was just kind of a light blue on top and a white on the bottom. But anyway, you'll see it in the video. And like I said, I don't really believe with saltwater fish. I've never seen where color made a lot of difference. But when you got the right action and the right noise, they'll hit about anything. So anyway, after we lost our rat, we went back to the waker, same one you saw in the last video, and they were pretty active when I first got there, and then they started that. The weather wasn't great. It was bright sun, and the pressure was up, so they weren't super active. But anyway, we ended up throwing a waker and caught some on it, and then they got to where they didn't want to come up, and we threw the spinner bait, caught one on it, and the twitching mullet we caught on it too. So anyway, my plans for whacking them on a rat didn't plan out because I got my rat taken away from me on the second fish. But anyway, let's get on to the video, and thank you all for watching. Well, here we're back on a mangrove line. This is a different one than the last video, and the tide had dropped a little bit, so they weren't quite as tight to those mangroves as they were in the last video. But we got our rat, and it's looking pretty good going through the water. We're paralleling, making a cast parallel to those mangroves and slow rolling it back. And it's on top, making a lot of noise. We get it about halfway back to the boat. Bam! He smashed it. It's a decent fish. In the boat. Look what's hanging out of that redfish's jaw. You ever caught one on a rat? Me neither. Until now. What's him? Making a mess here. There we go. Not a bad one for a rat. Well, after we lost our rat, we picked up the spinnerbait, which we already had rigged up on the Daiwa CT, and give it a go, see if they wanted to hit that. Just slow rolling it, keeping it just off the bottom. And one of them grabbed it right there pretty close to the boat. Spinnerbait redfish. Well, they kind of lost interest in the spinnerbait, so I went back to Old Faithful, the old man's waker. See if a little noise would get them to fire it up again. We come through this big patch of sand you see out there in front. Just before we got to it, one of them smashed that waker. You look behind that redfish right there, you'll see another one that was following him, which happens a lot. There's one on the waker. Yeah, keep watching out straight in front of the boat there. We've made a long cast with that waker. This is what it looks like when a big one gets after that bait. Unfortunately, he pulled off. But that was a big old fish. That was probably about the same size as the one that took my rat. We're making long casts here. When the water's this clear, you're better off. The further you can get out there, the better your chances are for them to jump on it. This guy hit pretty much at the end of the cast out there on the old green waker. A little better one. Smash that waker. Here again, we're making a long cast paralleling these mangroves. Coming across the top. That fish slurped it up and actually fooled me because I thought it was, I didn't think he was as big as he turned out to be. He kind of came at the boat, and that's when I realized he was a better fish than it looked, because he didn't blast it like some of them do. There's a good one on the waker. Now we got to a point further up in the morning They didn't want to come up on top anymore, so I switched over to the twitching mullet and was working it real slow, a few twitches, and then I'd let it sit and let it slowly start to sink down. I thought maybe that would trigger some of them because they'd already started setting up in the sand on the bottom. And that one grabbed it not too far from the boat. Yeah, he's not very big, but he jumped on that twitching mullet. One of these little deeper holes out here. The lower end of this flat, which we're pretty much almost to the end of it, gets deeper than the upper end of it. And we're still throwing the twitching mullet, especially in this little bit deeper water. And I wasn't surprised at all to see this guy show up because of the deeper water. That ain't a bad one there. Jumped on old twitching mullet. Have a nice day.